newest season of Warzone has finally dropped, and with it come a lot of good changes to guns, honestly. Obviously, the new Car 98, the new SMG, but a lot of nerfs and buffs. And honestly, right now, I feel like the Warzone meta is in a great place. There's no one gun that just dominates everything. It seems very healthy, very balanced. And honestly, I'm loving it. But today I'm going to go ahead and go through and I'm going to give you all of my current meta loadouts. First off, obviously, the Car 98. You've got two options with this gun. But for me, with this option, I am going for the longest possible one shot. So with that, as far as barrel wise, you're going to use the 7.62 long barrel. That's going to significantly obviously increase the damage range and bullet velocity across the board. Going with the barrel, we're going the Sonic Suppressor L. It's the barrel that is giving the best added range along to the gun. I'm not worried about the recoil control. It's a bolt action sniper. I'm not worried about that. This is not the build though that you're going to run if you're trying to quick scope. I'm going for furthest possible damage range. With this build, it's 86 meters, one shot headshot, I believe. In addition, you're going to go with the 7.92 high grain rounds. Once again, it's adding that significant bullet velocity as well as damage range. Still not worried about recoil control. It's a bolt action gun, guys. And then you have two options with the stock. A lot of people are running the no stock, and it's very good. But for me, I don't like how it affects my visual on my scope. You don't get that full zoomed in effect. So for me, I'm going with the tack stock just to try to somewhat help that ADS speed because it is not the best. It's better than OG Warzone days, but it's not the best that it could be. The gun is definitely good and will one-shot headshot up to 86 meters. Paired with that, I'm actually running the Ram 9. The gun got a decent buff in this update. I'm enjoying it. It feels good. I'm going with the 50 round mag. Obviously, running trios and ranked or even in squads. The recon comb as far as trying to help that ADS speed and that sprint to fire speed. Swapping over, I went with the 9mm high grain rounds just to try to help extend that range a little bit. I don't notice the difference in the recoil, so it's not really that big of a deal. The DR6 hand stop just for adding that mobility across the board for the gun for those close range fights. And then as far as the muzzle, I'm still going with the Zemin 35. I don't know how you say that, to be honest, guys, but the compensated flash hider. There might be other ones you can run for the sake of getting a little bit faster ADS, but with this one at least, I'm happy with how it feels. The gun does not have significant recoil, and this is one of the few guns I don't feel the need to run an optic on because the iron sights are pretty clear for me. Now, the AR range between the ARs and LMGs, there has been a huge change. The MTZ got another buff, and honestly, the gun feels amazing. As far as optic, just whatever your optic of choice is. For me, I like the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5. And for the stock, we're going with the MTZ Marauder stock. This is going to significantly help that recoil across the board. This is the stock that I feel best helps me without hurting anything else too much. As far as barrel wise, the MTZ Drifter, heavy long barrel because it's helping that range and the recoil control across the board. 50 round drum mag, and then this is the muzzle I chose to go with, the FJX Fulcrum Pro. It does hurt your ADS speed, but it is significantly increasing that recoil control across the board, as you can see. And honestly, I don't feel a lot of recoil with this gun. It feels very smooth. The gun hits hard. I actually like using it. Pairing that with a very fast mobility SMG. The regular striker got a buff as well. This is at least my build, but this is a pretty much max mobility build. You could probably get a little bit more. You can actually get a little bit more out of it, potentially, but this is what I'm liking. So striker stubby barrel. This is helping that mobility all the way across the board. It is hurting your range, but if you're running it like I am with the MTZ, it's not a big deal there. Zemin 35 compensated flash hider, DR6 hand stop, and then the 48 round mag. Now, if you wanted to get even more speed out of it, you could go with no mag, and you would pick up, what you can see there, just a little bit of movement speed and sprint to fire speed, but it's not enough. And honestly, I definitely feel like running Warzone, you need that 48 round mag. Obviously, running the no stock on it, and this is where you're getting your biggest buff across the board for mobility. This gun does not have recoil. That's the thing. So all of this stuff that's helping mobility and it's hurting recoil, there is no recoil with this gun. It's even with the iron sights, there's just nothing there. It's definitely not something I'd be using at a longer range, but it's gonna give you that max mobility. There are faster firing SMGs, but if you can outmaneuver your opponents most of the time, you're gonna be safe in there. Moving over, the Holger 5.56 is actually pretty decent again now. I'm going to be using the Cryos 6 match barrel. This is going to give you the longest range, as well as recoil control, and honestly not hurt that handling just a whole lot. Once again, going to FJX Fulcrum Pro muzzle. It's just the one, from me, that I feel like gives me the best across-the-board recoil control without hurting too much. Excuse me. 40 round mag. Once again, optic of your choice. I always pretty much anything long range for ARs or LMGs. I'm sticking with the Corio Eagle's Eye 2.5. And then as far as the stock, the RB Adult Assault stock. This one's still slightly hurting that ADS speed, but once again, helping recoil across the board. Because you can be as fast as you want, but if you can't hit your shots due to bad recoil, it doesn't matter. Pairing that with the new SMG, Super, I don't know how you want to say it. This is definitely, I don't think it's the top end-all be-all meta of SMGs this Warzone season. This gun honestly almost feels like an AR SMG hybrid. The biggest downside is it's only a 40 round mag. That's the biggest downside. But to at least help you with mobility, I'm running the Phantom grips. That's going to significantly increase your sprint to fire speed, as well as help your ADS speed. I'm not running an optic on this gun. I actually very much like the iron sights on this gun, and it's weird to say. I've always been an optic person, and for once, I like the iron sights on these new guns. You're gonna see a lot of people putting barrels on it. Let me show you why I'm not running a barrel. This one hurting your handling. The best one across the board, I believe, is this one. It's hurting your handling. Whoops. Apologies. It's hurting your ADS and sprint to fire speed, right? So look, it's only giving you 12% recoil control across the board. If you want that range, you can go with the Hound Guard Heavy Barrel, and you see it's significantly increasing that range, 22%, 23, 27. But you see how much it hurts your mobility across the board, right? Hence why I'm going with the high ground rounds. You get almost the exact same added range and no mobility hurting. What is the point in having a max range SMG if you're slow with it? Hence why I say this is honestly more like a SMG AR hybrid. Going with the DR6 hand stop, obviously trying to increase that ADS and sprint to fire speed as well as your movement speed some. And then for me, for max recoil control that I felt like helped me the best was the XRK Sandstop muzzle. The gun really doesn't have that much recoil, but if you look at the fire rate, this is what I'm talking about when I say it's not the end-all be-all SMG. It's just not for this season. At a fire rate of only 666.7, there are definitely SMGs that are significantly higher with that. But still a very good gun. On to a different Holger, though. The Holger 26 LMG. Gun feels really good. It's definitely not the hardest hitting, but it's consistent across the board, is at least the way I feel. Got the Holger factory barrel, which is helping that range and recoil control there. The Cronin OP44 muzzle. This is the one I went with. Once again, feels like it helps me the best with recoil control because you can go with the compensated flash hider, but it's only helping that horizontal and vertical. It's hurting the bullet velocity. This one gives you more recoil control across the board and does not hurt that bullet velocity there. Any optic of your choice. I went with the Morn 20 grip. This is only hurting your ADS movement speed. I'm not moving around a whole lot when I'm ADSing in reality. Um, and then it's still helping that recoil significant across the board. And then the Ascent Lord stock. Once again, it does hurt that mobility and handling just a little bit. Really, it's just sprint to fire speed, but really good recoil control across the board. Pairing that with the newly buffed, whoops, wrong gun. Pairing that with the newly buffed AMR 9. Now, for this one, I did go pretty much with a max mobility build, or not max mobility, but decent mobility build. Going with the AMR 9 Regal Pro barrel. It's only really hurting that recoil control, so you're not losing range on it. But as you can see, this gun does not have a huge effective damage range. Zim N35 compensated flash hider. Actually, I want to change this. No, the XRK hand stop, just for that extra movement speed is what I'm going for there. Done a 4.9 meters a second. 50 round mag, and then any optic for your choice. If you really don't want to run an optic, if you like the iron sights and you want faster mobility, the X10 grip is really good. If you want the recoil control, the Sakin ZX grip is also very good. So it's just that of your choice there in that scenario. The DG, even though it was nerfed, it's not end all be all meta like it was last season, but it's still a very consistent. It's still right there with both of the Holgers. It's still a good gun using long range. Woody long barrel, pretty much the same identical setup most people were running last season. It's still the same now. I go with the Corvus slash Gen 2 muzzle. It's only 6% ADS speed increase, but it's 13% recoil control across the board. 5.842 high grain rounds to give me that added effective damage range and bullet velocity. Does hurt recoil a little bit, but if you've shot this gun, you know it doesn't have a lot of recoil. And then the recoil reduction butt plate, just to compensate all of any extra recoil we might have added across the board. Honestly, the gun still feels really good. And I feel like it's right there in line with both of the Holgers. Now, I already showed you the car, but the MCW with the conversion kit is still really good, in my opinion. It's still a very good gun. Jack Raven conversion kit, 40 round mag, optic of your choice. And then I'm running the RB Rapid Strike grip. It's giving me that extra sprint to fire speed and ADS speed, trying to combat dealing with, players running SMGs right now. And then the FJX Fulcrum Pro muzzle, because this gun does still have a little bit of kick, it being. So my next build is gonna be a little bit different. I know everybody's saying, "Oh, the BP50 got nerfed," but the BP50 long range is still actually really good. The recoil is still bare minimum to none, and damage and TTK on this gun is still pretty good. So as far as the muzzle, I'm still going with the FJX Fulcrum Pro. It's still a huge decrease in recoil and just a small increase as far as the ADS speed, and it doesn't really hurt anything else. There are other options, like if you feel like you need a little bit more horizontal help, you've got that with the RF Crown 50. You've also got the Cronin OP44 for the vertical, but for me, the FJX just feels the best on the gun all the way around. Obviously, we're going to go with the Lore 9 heavy barrel. That's going to be the barrel that gives you that best recoil control as far as range. This is not a mobility build, but hence why I run an SMG with it. Optic of your choice, for me, it's still plain and simple. It's what I run on every single AR, every single LMG that I'm running for long range. It's just all around my favorite sight. As far as the stock, I'm going with that even more added recoil control. If you want, you could go with the padded stock for that mobility, but for me, running an SMG with it, to me, it makes no sense to run a long range AR along with something like the Car 98 or the MCPR, right? It makes no sense. So for me, I'm adding all the recoil control I can to keep that smooth, steady aim. So that's why I'm going with the four bearer heavy stock, and then the 45 round mag. Pairing with this, we're actually going with the old school gun, the Lockman Shroud, but it's because it already has a Decimator kit. The Jack Decimator conversion kit makes this a fully automatic gun. It says that it hurts the damage a little bit as it shows in the recoil control, but honestly, the gun's not bad at all. This is not a full mobility build. If you want a full, as fast as possible build, you could put on the shortest barrel. But for me, the gun feels good. No barrel, no laser. You can either run an optic of your choice. For me, I don't like the iron sights a lot on this gun, so I want the optic. And then as far as going with the underbarrel with the XRK, the DR6 is still very good. It's gonna add a little bit more ADS as you see, and a little bit faster sprint to fire time. But the XRK, as you can see, does give that faster movement speed by just a little bit, and that's what I'm after with this build. As far as when I'm out running around trying to get from building to building or location to location, the SMG is what I'm gonna have out. D-round drum mag, and then for me, I'm running the 9mm sub OP ammo to give me that little bit of extra target flinch, just so when I do hit them, I've got that little bit extra time to finish. But like I said, if you were fine with the no optic, going with iron sight, you've got a couple choices here. If you want a full mobility build, you go with the no stock, right? I would use it honestly then as more of a hip fire or tack stance shot then. The FT mobile stock's just not worth it. Or if you want that barrel, you can either go with a longer range one, which will up your range as well as your recoil control. But if you want the mobility, you go with the shorter Dark Star barrel. First for the next build, still running the BP, but I'm running the DG58 short version. Now, I know it has received some nerfs, but I am fully enjoying this kit. Wrong one. Sorry. Apologies. Why is it not? There we go. So I'm running it with the Jack Nightshade Rifle Kit Conversion Kit. Zim N35 Compensated Flash Hider. 40-round mag. Unfortunately, that's just the biggest you can put with the conversion kit on it. Optic of your choice. And then for me, I am running the Varnish Steady Grip just to give me that added recoil control, because I do feel like this gun has a little bit more recoil than some of the other shorter range options that I have ran. Gun still feels good, still hits good. Like I said, it's not the end-all be-all meta, but gun feels good all around. And then for my final one, running the Superior, Super, whatever you want to call it, SMG, but I'm running it with the MCW. The MCW feels really good again, especially as a long-range option. I'm running with the 16.5 MCW Cyclone Long Barrel just to give that full max damage range. There are other ones you can run if you want the recoil control or if you want mobility, depending on what you want. The Mammoth Heavy Barrel is good as far as for effective and minimum damage range. It's a little bit better, but I want that bullet velocity as well. Pairing that, for this gun, I paired it with the Cronin OP44. It feels better for me. A lot of my guns, I've used the FJX muzzle, but for this one specifically, the Cronin feels the best to me. Pairing it with the 60-round drum mag, optic of your choice, and then for me, I am running the RB Claw PSL grip. I'm just trying to get all that recoil control that I can. As you can see, the horizontal recoil is pretty much bare nothing at this point. The recoil gun kick is also bare nothing, so it's really not bad. The gun shoots nice and smooth. But so far, that's what I'm running right now. The FJX is also a very good gun, but it's got a 10-meter range pretty much. Anything outside of 10 meters, the gun is just absolutely horrible on recoil. So right now, these are all my loadouts. I'm leaning mostly towards the Car 98 and MCW, although I do still love the Ram 9 in its current state. But if you want to see more videos as the season goes on and as new buffs and nerfs happen, as well as potential new conversion kits and weapon drops, make sure you drop a like on this video. It really helps out, really helps the algorithm to push the video further out. And make sure you drop a follow on the channel. You'll see videos as we go on. See you next time.